and welcome to MetalCast from Metal Coffee Shop. My name is Heidi Ellsworth, and today we are here to do some comparisons. We have the expert from Roof Hugger, Dale Nelson, with us, and we're going to be talking about the choices you make as you get onto a roof with a building owner on whether you should re-roof with TPO over metal or retrofit with Roof Hugger and a new metal roof. So we're going to talk about that, give you some great talking points and understanding of how both systems work. So Dale, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Heidi. Good to be here. And as you can see, you caught me working from home today. That's my kitchen in the background.
Love it. Hey, anyway, we can do this from anywhere, right?
Oh, that's a really cool thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about Roof Hugger.
Sure. So I'm Dale Nelson. I'm one of the founding partners of Roof Hugger, and go back to 1991, where my partner, a gentleman named Red McConaughey, had this idea to create a notched sub-purlin to retrofit one of his buildings that he owned. And so we got together and built this sample part, put it on his building as our first guinea pig, and then re-roofed it. And it went remarkably well. And so from that point, we decided we might have the makings of a business. So our deal was Red would try to get a patent and I would do all the work. So that
hey, that works.
It sounded like our usual agreement, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how we started. So,
oh my gosh. And look at where you are today.
Amazing.
Talk a little bit about where Roof Hugger is in the industry today since 1991, which, by the way, my oldest was born in 91. So it feels very the same, right? Yeah. You launch a business, you have a kid, whatever. There you go.
That's good combo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we started modestly, as you might guess. I think our first year sales were somewhere in the neighborhood of $9,000. And but quickly enough, it caught on, and then we were at $250,000 the next year, and that doubled again, and it doubled again. So it really, quite to our surprise, kept growing and growing and growing. And it was because there really was no graceful way to re-roof an old metal building back in the 80s and 90s, except to run maybe 2x4s or hat channels or something across the old roof, which was never a properly designed, properly engineered system. So the Roof Hugger with the notches out of the Z, where it drops down really tight and gets really connected to the existing purlins, turned out to be an amazing solution to dealing with old metal roofs. So,
and that patent that Red did worked really well.
Yes, it really did.
Yeah.
It was a good thing. And we've since got several more. So
I love it.
All the time trying to innovate in this industry. So it's been really good.
Well, it's so true. So let's talk about a contractor going out to meet with a building owner. Metal roof options, right?
Yep.
One of those is a TPO cover or recover, or the metal retrofit systems. Talk a little bit about the differences, and let's start with TPO. What are the positives and not so positives of going the TPO route?
Sure. Well, I think one of the positives, which is why it's a huge competitor of ours, is basically it's less expensive.
Yeah.
So, you take a sheet of plastic, you take a sheet of plastic or since I'm facetious sometimes and call it a bed sheet and stretch it over the roof. It's definitely more economical than a metal roof panel by a long shot.
Right.
So, but that said, where there's a lot of penetrations in the roof, where there's a lot of equipment on the roof, if there's a lot of pipes and fittings and things, sometimes it may be a better solution for these very difficult roofs with a lot of penetrations and stuff.
Right.
And additionally, they add insulation in the cavity, so they get a fairly energy efficient system and a reflective system. So, on the plus side, I think that there is a place for TPO, and particularly on very, very low slope roofs, it's probably ideal. Metal is, you can go down to maybe a half and 12 or a quarter 12, but beyond that, metal's not going to perform that well. So,
Interesting, interesting. And then service and maintenance as you're looking at that. So
yeah,
if the metal roof is kind of done, you go and overdo it with TPO.
yeah. I am not a big fan of TPO over metal. Because I compete with it, but in general, I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think it's the proper solution for it because the a TPO. Well, first off, in terms of sustainability, this is a
Yeah.
big sheet of plastic. What is what is the world's biggest environmental problem today? Plastic. And you know what the recycled content of the average TPO roof is? About 4.5%. The
Wow.
average recycled content of a steel roof is 70%.
So,
So
wow.
a
Yeah, that's a big
huge
difference.
difference in terms of environmental impact. That said, I think a metal roof is a better solution because TPO is going to last you 18 to 25 years, depending what latitude you're at. The more
Right.
you're in the sun, the more it's going to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And metal isn't really affected by UV. It loves it.
Mm-mm. It reflects
So,
it.
yeah, it reflects it. So,
Yeah.
we're going to get 50 or 60 years out of a galvalume standing seam metal roof. Painted roof is going to be 35 to 45 years. The warranty's 35 years. The warranty on galvalume's now 50 and sometimes
50.
beyond
Yeah.
that. That's the warranty period. That's not the lifespan.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
in terms of life cycle cost, although TPO hands down is going to be less expensive, but not significantly. I would say TPO on average is maybe 25, possibly 30% in some cases, depending on the complexity of the roof. Less expensive, but it's got half the life.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a pay me now, pay me later, and it is not photovoltaic friendly. We
Right.
can add photovoltaics easily to a brand new standing seam metal roof at any time for 15, 20 years, and the
Yeah.
roof will still outlast the photovoltaics. If
It's a
you put
solar ready roof.
exactly. And if you
Yeah.
put photovoltaics on TPO, you're going to have a gazillion penetrations in that TPO, and you're going to set yourself up for a
Right.
disaster at some point down the road. So,
And if the old metal roof needs to be replaced, that means
yep,
it's not watertight.
correct.
So you don't want to put something on top of it that could be not watertight too and have
Exactly.
the problems, right?
It is a problem.
Um, and that definitely something that can happen. So when a contractor is talking to that building owner, it's not just about recovering that metal roof or tearing it off, which is a lot more expensive. Both are going to not be friendly to landfills just because eventually it's all going into the landfill.
Yep.
Well, except for the metal, it'll be recycled.
It'll be recycled.
It'll be recycled. But the building itself, sitting there and talking with that owner and asking questions about, first of all, what are their goals? But second of all, what's happening with the building and what's
Yeah.
going on? Talk a little bit about how retrofit can really help structure and structural along with that watertight.
So when you retrofit with a notch sub purlin and you attach it in a particular way, and there's some details on how to do that, you actually strengthen the diaphragm strength of that existing roof. And that's why you can't take a screw down roof off and put a standing seam on because the building isn't properly braced. And standing seam
Okay.
panels, as you know, move with expansion
Right.
and contraction. Screw down roofs do not, and they provide a diaphragm strength to the entire building. Remove it, you have just made the building unsound.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's one of the reasons the notch purlins are so effective. Not only do they uh, add strength to the purlins, but they effectively increase the diaphragm strength because they have locked that old panel down like it could never be locked down. So,
Yeah.
in fact, I saw one project, been about 10 years now, but building was hit by a glancing blow of a tornado,
Ooh.
and
Okay.
it blew the end of the building in, and it took the roof and peeled it back. Well, it had just been retrofitted with roof huggers, right? The roof huggers didn't let go. It held the roof in place, but the winds were so intense, it took the metal building frame itself and it pulled the bolts through the columns that attached it to the slab.
Oh
And
my gosh.
that is the kind of attachment you get with a roof hugger.
So
So
the roof stayed, but the building moved.
the building ran out of oomph.
Wow.
But literally,
Wow.
the photos were quite dramatic, where the bolts pulled right through the
Yeah.
steel frame. So very unusual kind of failure,
That's
but
wild.
it gives you an idea how uh, tight that diaphragm
Yeah.
becomes and how strong it is. So pretty amazing. TPO is an interesting material. Uh, for a roof covering, okay, but it actually changes the structural engineering design of the building. Metal buildings have ribs in them for a couple of reasons. One, it strengthens the metal,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but it also channels water off the roof. So in this massive rainstorm or snowstorm or whatever you have, that water or that snow accumulation is compartmentalized into these little
Yeah.
like flumes,
Right.
and it channels the water right off the building. Yeah, a TPO is a smooth surface, and purlins are not like joist. I mean, they're not that strong. They deflect,
Mm-hmm.
and so as the water accumulates on the roof, it moves to the low point. If there are no
Bonding.
ribs to channel the water off, it will all move to the middle between the major frames. So the deflection becomes exaggerated. In a rainstorm, normally not that big a deal unless there's a parapet on the building and the water is stopped by the parapet and then begins to accumulate on the roof. That will actually bring the building down, and we have had a couple examples of that.
Right. Snow
Snow is the
too.
same problem.
Yeah.
It will gravitate to the low point. The more it snows, the more the purlins deflect because they're not channeled. And so the accumulation becomes at some point too much and it overloads the frames or the purlins and they fail. So TPO doesn't have a way really to
To do
deal
that.
with that. And I don't think I've ever seen them add structure. I don't even know how they would do that. I mean,
Mm-mm.
styrofoam isn't structure, so
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
how you reinforce for snow. I have seen some of their wind testing. It looks like the product does okay in the wind, but it's interesting to see these little pillows uh, on the roof when the wind tries to lift it off. So
Lifting up.
it's
Well, I
kind of
think,
cool.
when we're talking about extreme weather, that that is why it's so important. I mean, when you're looking at that between the wind uplift that you talked about, between how to manage snow, ice, hail, water, rain, um, that those are all the things that's what a roof is for. To not
Yes.
just waterproof it, but to divert it and to
Yep.
keep it off the roof so that the roof can maintain its quality and stability.
Yep. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
metal is simply going to outlast any other roofing material out there. So it's an investment, no question.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more upfront, but there's also some tax deductions available now. There's something called a Section 179 tax deduction,
Yes.
which is like $1 million or a little more
Yeah.
that your roof can be written off in the first year.
And
So
deducted. I mean,
really,
off your yeah, it
some
saves
cool
you so much
incentives.
in taxes.
I know.
Um, so let's talk about that life cycle,
Yep.
right? So as the contractor is talking to an owner after asking the questions, right? What are your goals? What do you want to do? What's the plan? But really looking at that life cycle cost with the with the tax possibilities, the
Yeah.
179. Just how should a contractor be visiting with the building owner about how to kind of figure that out long term and how to work with that to get that life cycle? We know that the metal roof is going to provide that, but what are some of the talking points?
Well, I again, it depends. Is this an investment property? Is this a manufacturing facility? Are you going to
Yeah.
flip it and uh, put some paint on it and a
Yeah.
bed sheet over the roof and call it a day? Or what are what are you trying to do with the building?
Right.
It I like the idea of taking an older building in relatively rough shape, upgrading it to the current codes, having it a hardened uh, building that'll withstand current wind and snow conditions. Put a long life panel on it, and now you've got a 40 to 60-year solution for the roof of that building, which is going to protect all of its, all the people and the contents in the
Yeah.
facility. So I think it's a worthwhile investment. I think it's certainly in terms of life cycle is going to have the lowest long-term cost. It may have a little more upfront cost, but I don't think the upfront cost is significantly greater than a PVC or TPO roof is going
Mm.
to be. Yeah, like I say, 30% maybe,
Yeah.
depending on the complexity. So,
So
uh,
having that conversation is really important to
and often
understand.
it depends on who the contractor is talking to them, because there are
Right.
roofers which tend to do conventional roofing materials, PVC, tar and gravel, shingles, and then there are uh, metal roofing installers, such as the Metal Building Contractors and Erectors Group,
Yes.
uh, are professional metal building installers. So they're going to be more in tune with the features and benefits of metal roofing than someone who is a quote unquote roofer, who's
Right.
kind of makes their bread and butter is conventional roofing materials. So, but if you have a metal building, you need to understand why a metal roof is on it, the, the, the fact that it is probably already 35 or 40 years old, and that
Uh-huh.
little 26 gauge panel took you 35 or 40 years before it finally gave up and you have to put a new one on. That's a pretty good story.
That is. It's
And
a great story.
yeah. And so why not do it again?
Yeah. And then, like we've talked about, and we've brought this up, but just to kind of bring it in, performance, durability, and sustainability.
Recyclability, sustainability.
Recyclability,
Yeah.
sustainability. You're able to, this roof is going to reflect. You're going to see higher energy savings. You're going to, you have lots of insulation
Yep.
opportunities that are going to go along with this also. And when it's done, it's recyclable. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
very little maintenance. Now, TPO and PVC are going to require periodic and regular maintenance. Some of them require coating every 10 years or so.
Right.
Depends on the product and
Hmm.
how thick that material is and what the life is. But they do require regular inspection and regular maintenance. Metal roofing is, I wouldn't call it maintenance free, but it's pretty darn close.
Yeah.
So it's,
You wanna get it checked now and then.
yeah, got to take
Yeah.
a peek, see, make sure it's
Yeah.
still
Make sure
there
it's
and
still working.
rinse it off or something,
I So, Dale, what are some talking from the building owner standpoint and from contractor standpoint, what are some of the misconceptions when it comes between, a TPO roof and a metal roof?
I, that's an interesting question. I don't know. They're different products. I think for me, the misconception is that they're equivalent. They are
Mm,
not.
yeah.
And so that's where I kind of run into issues with, on the subject, is that Don't tell me a piece of plastic is the equivalent of a metal panel. I'm not buying it, and nor should the client. So understand what you're buying. You're buying a 18 to maybe 25-year solution, depending again what latitude you're at before the sun deteriorates it. And you're going to buy a product that's going to require more and periodic maintenance. So understand what you're getting. If you want to go the less expensive route and save a few bucks, I get it. But in terms, if you're going to keep this building, then spend a little bit more. Look for that
Yeah.
tax deduction that's out there, and get a long life product that's going to give you great flexibility going forward. I mean, being able to add photovoltaics 10 or 15 years down the road because you
Yes.
invested in that standing seam metal roof it makes you a pretty smart person. You know,
Yeah.
I knew I could
Yeah.
do this,
I
and
know.
the roof is ready. You just clamp it on, and now you're generating power off your building. And I think sooner or later, most of us are going to end up doing that. So,
I think so too. I think that is definitely going to happen. And
yep,
I would just say, really think about what your goals are long term again,
yes,
and it pays off. It pays off if you are doing long term. Oh, and the structure of the building.
yeah,
How's that helping the structure of the building? And that makes such a big difference of
yeah.
stabilizing everything with this new roof.
And sometimes we come across unusual conditions where the building is maybe 100 feet wide, and then they put wings off each side that are 40 feet wide or
Yeah.
50 feet wide. And then there's a step down, and it leaks at that step down. Well, gosh, how are we going to fix that? Well, we can make two different height roof huggers. We'll put a taller one in the lower area, a lower one in the upper area, and put that whole roof in one plane and take that step out, and it is gone. And that problematic area doesn't exist anymore. So,
And it works.
all kinds of really good solutions for existing buildings out there that are trying to do a one-time fix and get it over with. So,
I love it. Okay. That's the one thing that I wanted to kind of end this with is the fact that all the folks at Roof Hugger are there to help contractors and building owners evaluate and figure out what they need for these custom type buildings for every building out there. So how do they get a hold of you and what's that process look like?
well, we've got an 800 number, of course,
Yes.
800-771-1711. But go to our website, roofhugger.com, and look us over. There's videos, there's brochures, there's details on every possible combination of existing and new metal roof. There's plan specifications and details. So um, case studies.
Yeah.
All of this
So much
and
good
you
stuff.
can, if you'll just, there's a way to describe the building and get a quote for the huggers. Now, we don't sell panels, and again, everything we do, it really ties back to these high performance panels that are available by the various manufacturers out there. And if you need help selecting one, we're happy to refer you to a metal panel guy. We're happy to refer you to an installer who can put all of this together,
Yeah.
or a metal building company that will also put all of this together. So
The thing that brings it
we're-
all together are those roof huggers.
that's right. We're the
That's
sort of
right.
the peanut butter in the sandwich, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, you can find all this information on Rivers Coffee Shop and Metal Coffee Shop in the Roof Hugger directory. So please check it out. We have articles, we have podcasts, we have so many things, and it will get you to that website and that phone number so that you can get your custom support and help and understanding for whatever you may need for your jobs. Please check it out. Dale, this has been awesome. Thank
It
you.
always is, Heidi. Thank you for having us. We always enjoy one another, that's for sure.
It's always fun. Great
Yeah, I know it.
conversation. So,
Here, here.
and thank you all for watching and listening. This has been so great. Please check out the directories. Please think about adding this to your offerings, especially, look into metal roofing. If you aren't doing metal roofing now, you need to look at it. It's a great product to have in your toolkit. Also, be sure to check out all of our podcasts under the RLW or Read, Listen, Watch navigation. Be sure to subscribe and set those notifications. We will be seeing you next time on MetalCast.